Welcome back. After the opening ceremonies, the lawyers went into a plenary session which dwelt on the topic Code of Conduct Tribunal, a clash of judicial and executive powers.
I hope Chief Ozekume.
The session, which was moderated by Professor Koinsola Ajayi, a senior advocate of Nigeria, generated issues as to the extent of the powers of the CCT, the possibility or otherwise of abuse, and where its accountability truly lay, whether to the presidency or to the National Judicial Council.
I believe the reason why we are having this great debate is because a judicial officer was arraigned before the tribunal. So the question now is, can a judicial officer be arraigned before a tribunal? In my opinion, ordinarily there shouldn't be a clash, because the ordinary meaning of the provisions are clear. But where it appears to overlap, because the CCT has powers to try public officers, and judicial officers are listed as public officers. And I think I also need to go to 292 very quickly to say that the three grounds upon which you can remove a judge has been stated very clearly. It's either incapacity to do the work because of an infirmity in the mind or body, or gross misconduct, and the code of conduct. So for the Constitution to even recognize that that is a ground which the NJC can address, I do not think there's a clash.
There is definitely, in my view, a clash of executive and judicial powers as represented in the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And I agree with the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria when he delivered a speech a while ago to say that the best way you can determine the independence and autonomy of any institution is to look at its funding pattern. The Code of Conduct Tribunal has no parent, as it were. It just lies as an orphan. The law setting it up has not prescribed the mode of funding for it. That is why we think there is an executive body, because the funding of the tribunal is shrouded in some kind of mystery.
The CCT, as it is today, is actually an appendage of the executive, nothing more, nothing less. Indeed, when the Justice Onege matter came up, the chairman of the CCT, Mr. Honorable Danladi Umar, mind you, not justice, because he's not a judge of a superior court of law record in accordance with Section 6, subsection 5 of the Constitution. When he was queried by the NJC and the National Judicial Service Commission, he told them straight away, I'm not a part of you. I'm a part of the presidency. So we have a peculiar situation here of the CCT being a bat, being like a bat. The bat goes to hold meetings with the animals. When they see him, they say, what are you doing here? You are not an animal. You are a bird. He said, no, I am an animal. You can see my long ears. You can see my teeth. You can see my mammary glands. I am one of you. After that, he will go and hold another meeting with the birds. And the birds will say, what are you doing here? You are a mammal. No, I can fly like you. Let us fly.
But a foremost prosecutor with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, disagrees.
I think the fear is that this tribunal is being treated as if it's an executive body because of Section 153 of the Constitution. But it is not an executive body. It's supposed to be an independent body. And if you look at the mode of the appointment of its chairman, where the National Judicial Council will make recommendation to the president will make a recommendation to the president, and then before the appointment will be made, and the mode of removal. These are very strict. But without fund, without money, how would this tribunal be able to perform its function? And I think we need to review the provisions of those acts so that they can be more potent to be able to fight corruption in public service.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you very much, sir.
The session generated plenty of reactions from the audience, and then this intervention from a judge in response to one of the comments made to the effect that judges are timid.
Learned senior advocate say our judges are timid. I want to respond to that by saying that if lawyers will stop playing politics in judicial matters, then judges will be more courageous. If lawyers will fight for financial independence of the judiciary, then judges will cease to be timid. You don't fight with the person who gives you food to eat. That is the truth. That is the truth.
The general consensus at the end of this session is that a constitutional reform is necessary in respect of both the role and status of the CCT and the financial autonomy of the judiciary.